Hi, fans of high quality entertainment. So, this tier list is for albums from 1982. And on my other YouTube channel, Canadian Studmuffin, I just recently talked about how at some point I stopped buying albums by new artists. Like, I still did, but just not as much as in the 70s. So it was kind of a surprise to me because 1977, I found 50 albums, no problem, that I could rank. And then, there were a few others that maybe I heard once or twice, but I didn't feel like I could rank them because I would need to hear them more. And then when I went to do this 1982 ranking, I could only come up with 18 albums. So somewhere between 77 and 82, I started to lose interest in newer music for whatever reason. And reading the comments on that video I did, other people went through the same thing, maybe different decades or whatever, but there was a certain drop off in their interest in new music. So some of these, I'll tell you some of these that I haven't really heard. The Cure, Pornography, I've never heard the whole album. Avalon, haven't really heard. Donald Fagen, The Night Fly, never heard. Susie and the Banshees, I've never heard. A Kiss in the Dream House. ABC, Judas Priest, The Fall, Simple Minds, Yazoo, X. Of course I've heard some of these artists' music, but just not the full album. Marvin Gaye, Midnight Love, Mirage I never bought. Steve Miller Band, Abracadabra, Flipper, Midnight Oil I've got, of course. So yeah, and that's just, 50 of them. When I was going through the list on Rate Your Music, it started off okay, and then there were just pages where I hadn't heard any of the albums. But here's my tier list. So there are the 18 albums. All right. So Coda, Led Zeppelin, the original with, the expanded version I feel was much better. But that was pretty disappointing. I'll put that in B tier. Midnight Oil, 10-1 or 10-9-8-7-6-5-4-3-2-1, I think is very underrated. I'm putting that in A tier. Elvis Costello, Imperial Bedroom, probably my second favorite Elvis Costello album after King of America, is S tier. Lou Reed, The Blue Mask, I feel is underrated. I'm putting that in A tier at the very start. Excuse me. John Cougar, also known as John Cougar Mellencamp. Yeah, I used to buy his albums, quite a few of them in the 80s and maybe early 90s, and then I just lost interest in him. Not really a fan anymore, but still, I'll put him in B tier. John Anderson, I believe that's his third solo album, Animation. I think it's underrated. It's got elements of, poppy music and then prog. And I love his vocals. I'll put that just behind Lou Reed. Bruce Springsteen, Nebraska. I bought that when it came out. I'm not a huge fan of him, but I do like his music. And I thought, he was taking a risk. It wasn't even planned to be released as an official album at one point, but it's good. I'll put that, just for me, I'm sure some of you would put that in A tier or S tier. I'll put it at the start of B. Frank Zappa, Ship Arriving Too Late to Save a Drowning Witch, I think once again is underrated. I'm going to put that in A tier. At the end of A tier. Sparks, Angst in My Pants. You know where that's going. Start of S tier. Yeah, Paul McCartney, Tug of War. I even lost interest in new albums by Paul McCartney after this one. But this one is a good album, Tug of War. It's just, being honest, it's not one of my favorites. I'll put that at the start of B. Michael Jackson, Thriller. Great album, except for, The Girl Is Mine and maybe one or two other weaker songs. But I mean, Want to Be Starting Something, Thriller, Beat It. It's still got to be S tier, just behind Sparks. Van Morrison, Beautiful, I think that's called Beautiful Vision. It's hard to read there. It's good. I'm just not much of a fan anymore. I'll put that in B. Just ahead of John Cougar. Glenn Kellaway's favorite XTC album, English Settlement. I just never warmed up to it. I love XTC, but I would rather listen to Drums and Wires or Black Sea. I'll put that in B. Right there. The Dreaming, Kate Bush. I know a lot of you would put that in S tier. I'll put that in A, just for me. Neil Young, Trance. I know this is crazy. And once again, as I always say, I'm not saying, like, if I put Trance in S tier, I'm not saying it's a better album than Kate Bush's The Dreaming. I'm just saying, for me personally, it's more of a favorite. I'm putting it in S tier, ahead of Michael Jackson. Oops, Spark's supposed to be there. I'll do it that way. All right, Prince, 1999. I had that on vinyl at some point. I was, I like Prince back in the day. I still do. One of the great talents. I will put that in A, but I didn't play it a lot, so I'll put it right at the end. And Gone Tropo, which I've heard. I think I might have done it for Does This Album Suck series, and it wasn't very good. I'll put it in C. And The Clash, Combat Rock. I think it's underrated. I'm going to put that in A. Right there. And that's it. Not much to show for 1982, but I think what I might do next is 1981, and then just kind of see in time where there was the biggest drop off in interest in, like, just in albums coming out, not just new artists. But yeah, because around 1982, like I said, I stopped listening to Paul McCartney. John Cougar later gave up on him. Michael Jackson after a couple more albums. Even Bruce Springsteen. So, yeah, I would love your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Please remember to give the video a thumbs up and leave a comment below and subscribe and all that. Bye.